So let me just do a refresh, and by the way, the cloud is only as strong as the internet link. If the internet connectivity is gone, the cloud is. So again, I don't want to set wrong expectations. You got to have a pipe, a pretty decent, healthy pipe. That's the weakest or the strongest link in our story. So assuming I select the Linux base image, I click on few buttons, and I get to choose the machine size. Just like when you're going live, you have certain architecture in mind. For example, you would visualize a Xeon box with 2 cores with 2 GB of memory and 360 GB of hard disk. We give you templates, and these templates typically map to your physical configuration. Lack of time, I cannot go into the details, but I can choose anywhere from a micro instance, which is the smallest entry level, or to a small to high CPU. If I choose small, I would spend about 6 cents per hour based on how much I'm going to run. So the moment I instantiate this server, I'm willing to pay 6 cents per hour. I can also choose what is called as a micro instance, which will cost you only 2.5 cents. So there is a cost attached to the template that you choose. So I'm going to choose the micro instance and continue to the next step. I can safely click continue. So basically here I'm configuring my virtual server, and because you are going to be accessible on the public internet, we don't give you a straight username and password. This is based on a secure infrastructure called the public key or private key infrastructure. So we are going to use that. And once I choose my private key through which I'm going to log on, I'm going to configure firewall and quickly launch my server instance. So meanwhile, I have already compiled my entire application. It's great, it's ready to go. I'm just waiting for my virtual server instance to come up. Now, assuming that these steps are completed, so I choose my private key that I'm going to use to log on, and I can also configure a firewall to protect my server. So here I'm going to choose my firewall, and this firewall will open only appropriate ports for the application to be accessible. And I'm going to click continue, and finally once I launch this, in some time you'll actually notice that this server that you have just instantiated is now available to you. So it's currently running, and here you would notice it's a T1 Micro, the entry level Linux web server currently running, and it also gives me a public DNS address. So this I can test by trying in the browser. So this actually shows that our web server has been launched and it's now currently running. Now once I have this in place, I can come to the command prompt and quickly log on to my box. So I'm going to use SSH. How many of you use a Linux web server here? Right, most of you. So this is familiar to you. So I'm going to use my private key that I have already created and log into my box. Right. So now I am basically inside my box as the root administrator. Right? So it took me 2.5 minutes to launch my web server, and currently it's accessible here. It shows the test page that our web server is up and running. Now I'm going to do a couple of things. The first thing that I'm going to do is to download my website. So I'm going to use wget and quickly pull my zip file, which has got my entire website already pre-packaged.